My lowest moment when I was having such bad cravings, I was binging so bad. I was eating peanut butter out of a jar crying. And I remember writing after, I'm like, something's wrong with me, something's wrong with my body. So ever since that experience, I was like, I know I can help so many people with this. I wanted to be the person that could help others because I know women are struggling with heartburn, chronic inflammation, fatigue, always being tired, high stress, all of these things. And I know food and then actually moving for joy.
Welcome to Detox Your Dome, the podcast, where we empower you with knowledge about the ingredients that make up the products that we use every day. Our goal is to help you become a more informed and conscious consumer. Detox Your Dome, body, home, planet. Welcome back, everyone, to the Detox Your Dome podcast. It has been far too long since our last episode. When I put the podcast on pause for a little summer break, I was definitely not expecting to build an entire app and then open a retail space, but here we are. And I am very excited to be recording now from Detox Your Dome's flagship retail location in Newburyport, Massachusetts. You will also notice that my dear friend Monica is no longer here with me. She moved to a new city and is doing big, amazing things there. So I will now be doing the show solo. But that leads me to the introduction of our guest of this evening, KP, who I actually met through Monica and who was super nice enough to come to our app launch several months ago back in Boston. But I feel like it's just full circle to have you here as my first guest because we met through Monica.
I'm excited.
So after years of struggling with the chaos of diet culture, body image challenges, and years of exhaustion, KP rebuilt from the ground up, learning how to understand her hormones, understand macros, and build a healthy relationship with both food and fitness. Now, as a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach, KP helps women dealing with these exact issues through her bio-individualized health coaching at Real and Well. In this conversation, we are going to debunk diet culture, talk about how counting macros can be empowering instead of restrictive, understand what neutralizing food really means, and figure out how to shift from a scarcity mindset to finding actual peace with your body. Welcome, KP, to the podcast.
Yay! Thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm so excited.
I am so excited to have you here. I got to switch from my wheeze to my eyes.
I know.
It's going to take a little getting used to. Monica, if you're out there, I miss you so much. Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself. I'd love to learn more about your health journey and what got you here.
Yes. I'll give you a brief overview. So back in high school, I was a runner, I was a dancer, I ate whatever I wanted. I honestly didn't fuel myself properly, but I genuinely just had no idea how to. So I was like the gusher girl, the Uncrustables, not the best foods. I had really bad acne due to that. And then I ended up going on birth control as like a Band-Aid fix for my acne. That was the main reason. And when I left high school, got to college, stopped running as much, was definitely in the crazy party phase, was drinking a lot, also was introduced to the food hall. And within the food hall, I just had never experienced or seen that many different types of diverse foods. Because when I would go out to restaurants with my family, I literally was the girl that would just get chicken tenders, fries, and my salad consisted of lettuce and maybe a carrot on top with drenching it in dressing so I didn't have to taste the lettuce. So that was the health extreme that I guess I went to. It was very minimal. And so when I got to college and was introduced to all these foods, my friends were like, oh my God, you've never had an avocado, you've never tried this. And I was trying all these foods and I honestly got overwhelmed with it that I ended up wanting to try everything. I was like, wow, maybe there's so many things out there. Why hadn't I tried this before? And so on top of trying lots of different foods and not knowing much about how to fuel my body properly and stopping working out and drinking a lot, I ended up gaining the classic, what they say, freshman 15, freshman 20. I had really bad inflammation, lots of puffiness. And after my freshman year, I really was like, oh, I need to figure this out. I studied abroad. And when I got back from abroad, I was like, I just do not like what I'm seeing in the mirror. I don't like the way I'm feeling. But I did it in a really toxic way. I was just finding random things on Instagram, and the things that I'd found were not to eat certain food groups together, to like cut out protein entirely and not have a grain with a protein. And it was just like really messing with my head. I ended up losing a bunch of weight and it was like 20 pounds in 20 days. It was really unhealthy. But of
Wow.
course, yeah, it was crazy. It was really bad. And I ended up, of course, gaining it all back when I got back sophomore year. And I was like really confused. I was like, what the heck? Like just finding all these different trends. And I was so all or nothing mindset. And then I finally just like gave up. The rest of college, I just gave up, whatever. And when I graduated, I was like, moved to Boston, started a sales job. So once again, I was already chronically stressed, had high cortisol, and I was so puffy. And then I was starting a sales job where I was taking clients out, going to coffees all the time, being in very high stress environments. And I really was just feeling awful. So I ended up getting extreme heartburn, having horrible stomach pains. It just came on like really quick. Honestly, it was like 6 months into the job, 6 or 7 months, and ended up going to the doctor. They had no idea what was wrong. And lo and behold, I was like, what happens if I maybe change what I eat? Like, I just know I feel like I haven't been eating to the best of my ability. And they're like, look, you can try. They gave me some medicine, but I was like, let me just try on my own. Like, let me just see if I can like eat better and see how I'll feel. So I ended up eating really clean, just for a little bit, like actually having protein, carb, fat, whole foods, cooking at home, for a time period. And my heartburn, I kid you not, was gone in like 5 days and it has not come back since. Like it was insane. So ever since that experience, I was like, I know one, I can help so many people with this. I wanted to be the person that could help others that were going through something similar because I know women are struggling with heartburn, chronic inflammation, fatigue, always being tired, high stress, all of these things. And I know food and then actually moving for joy, like becoming a personal trainer, which I did, teaching workout classes. So sorry that was a little long, but
That was
that's
perfect. It's
my
so
journey.
funny. You hit a few things. Like one, the heartburn. I honestly forgot that I used to have chronic heartburn. And of course, it was during college or, right post grad when I was still drinking all the time and eating God knows what. But it's funny. I forgot that that was like a serious problem that I had for many years because I don't even think about that anymore.
No, I know it's so
Um, you also mentioned that in high school you had really bad acne and then you went on birth control as sort of a band-aid. At that time, I'm assuming you didn't really see the connection between your health and lifestyle and food to things like acne. So when did that click or when did that shift really happen for you?
yeah. So once I got on the birth control and my acne like completely went away, I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. But there were, of course, like other side effects that I was experiencing with the birth control. So once I went, I was just like tired of it. I was tired of my other side effects that I was experiencing. I think I definitely had a little bit of weight gain from it. I actually like had suppressed emotions towards things, and so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go off my birth control. When I went off birth control the first time and my acne came back, I was like, okay, so this is definitely connected to my hormones of some sort. Like if the birth control, which is a hormone suppressant, was suppressing my acne, like now that it's back, I have something wrong with my hormones. And that's when I really, it clicked for me that those are connected and also the food was connected. I genuinely didn't even think twice that my Uncrustables and Gushers and whatever horrible food I was eating was messing with things
Yep.
until I started eating better. And then I was like feeling better and my skin was getting a little bit better, but that's a whole other journey that we'll
Get
probably get.
into.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I want to do a little bit of education. I would love you to break down what macros are as if we are like fifth graders. I feel like it's a word that's thrown around so often. It's something that I've heard through diet culture and actual nutritionists trying to educate on macros. And then you kind of see these like fitness people on TikTok talking about macros and it feels overwhelming. So I just want you to break down what are macros so we can kind of understand like what we're talking about here.
Yes, I know it can be very overwhelming. So macros stand for macronutrients. There's three of them. There's carbs, there's fats, and protein. And you've probably heard of fiber, but that also falls under the carb category. So this matters a lot because proteins, step one, proteins will keep you satiated. They'll help you build muscle. They will keep you strong. They'll keep you full. All of those great things. And then you have carbs. Okay, carbs. This gets such a bad rap. They get such a bad rap, and they shouldn't. But I understand why because of certain diet culture topics and maybe certain carbs that people had had that caused them to gain weight. But carbs are really good for you, great for energy. Carbs equals fuel. You need carbs. And so that's what carbs are, mostly for energy, energy source. You're going to want to quit carb before you work out. If you are working out in the morning, for example, or just throughout the day, honestly, you need carbs for energy. So if people are, if they come to me low energy, I'm like, you're probably one, not eating enough, and two, it's probably not enough carbs. Okay. And so fats, well, fats are really good for your hormone health, also staying satiated. Women need more fats than men typically do. But I will say for each of those categories, protein, anything that like walks, if you want to think of it like that. So any meats, you can also get it from some legumes. There are ways to get it if you are vegetarian, but mostly like meats, some dairies, etc. And then you're going to have your carbs, which is going to be all of those grains. So potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice, brown rice, quinoa, etc. Of course, pasta, pizza, great. The reason I think we get a bad rap is because people are like, oh, I had someone like when I have carbs, I gain weight, right? So are you having just like pizza every night? Are you having pasta every night? And it's like a ton of it. Like that's why when we talk about counting macros, it's like staying within the macro count for your prescribed body and seeing what works for you and how you feel best and how you function off your certain macros is when it can really help. Because then you do get flexibility to say, like, ooh, maybe I do want a pizza. Great. You can have that. You don't have to feel so constrained to be like, I can't have carbs ever. And then it's like this all or nothing cycle. And then we have the fats. So that's going to be like olive oil, nuts, seeds, avocados, all of those lovely things. Those are definitely higher in calories per gram. So 9 calories per gram of fat. And then for carbs and protein, that's 4 calories per gram of each of those. So fats are a little bit more calorically dense. That's why when you typically see olive oil or you go to a restaurant and it's like doused in all these oils, pretty high in fat meals. So that's why people who see that maybe go out to dinner a lot, getting more inflammation, maybe gaining weight, etc., just messes with macros a bit there. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. How do you figure out your personal macros?
So when a client comes to me, I get their whole health history background, but that includes their height, their current weight, and how active they are. Of course, we don't know how active everyone's going to be every single day. It may vary different, but it goes from like light, moderate, extreme, whatever. Okay, so all of those things go into an equation, but the important thing is I have to see what a client is eating beforehand. So I'm like, are you under eating? Are you overeating? Are you eating at maintenance and you don't even know calorically? Likely you probably aren't hitting on the dot your current macros. Like most common thing I see are higher fats in women, lower protein, sometimes higher carbs, sometimes lower carb, depending on if they're like overeating versus undereating. So what I'll do is I'll see based on those 2 weeks of them not changing anything. Don't be like, I want to be good. I'm gonna be super healthy for Catherine. No, like literally, I just want to see it could be Chick-fil-A every day. It doesn't matter. I just want to see.
Yep.
And from there, I will see, okay, so for your macro calculator, when I'm calculating macros out, based on height, weight, how active you are, we'll see where you're at and we'll see if we need to work you up to your maintenance if you're under eating, or if you're overeating, just work you to your maintenance in general. And most people do see like water retention, inflammation drops almost effective immediately. So that's typically how I get a client's macros. But again, like I will have to check and like mess with them maybe every week, every couple of weeks, because every person's going to be different, right? Like a scientific equation isn't going to equate to something perfect right away. So we sometimes will increase fats, maybe we'll decrease carbs, maybe we'll increase carbs. It just depends on one, how active the person is and what feels best to them.
Right.
So like puzzle pieces going on. That's why it's so bio individual and like independent per person.
Right. So, what about micronutrients? I feel like micronutrients do not get any representation in these conversations. I often see videos of gym rats on TikTok being like, this is what I'm eating throughout the week. And every night I'm eating like this huge steak. And it's like, that's amazing. And they look ripped. But I'm also the like, previous vegetarian in me is like, what about your vegetables? Like, I don't, how do they play into this whole conversation?
Yes, you need vegetables. You can hit your macros perfectly and still be undernourished if your micronutrients are lacking. I always say eat the rainbow. If you can have as much color on your plate and throughout the day, eat the rainbow all day because you need the nutrients and the vitamins from each and the fiber, 20 to 30 grams of fiber per day. if you can get that. A lot of people I also see are under eating in fiber, and they're like, oh, I'm so bloated, I can't go to the bathroom. I'm like, let's look at your fiber. How much veggies are you eating? How much fruit do you have? How much color do you have in your meals? Because if
Right.
you are eating the same thing every day, yeah, you're going to be constipated, you're going to be low energy, and you're not going to be getting enough of those nutrients in. So I see people, I also see the same thing, and I see it, I guess, more of a short term thing, but I really do think people should be having vegetables in there
Are you trying to get all protein, fat, carbs in every single meal?
every single meal.
Okay.
Yep.
It's
Because
not like you just want to eat like a chicken breast for lunch and then call it a day. Like
no,
what's the
and you're
negative of just focusing on one of those food groups per meal instead of doing all three of them every single time?
yeah. So if you have all three, that's how you're going to feel satiated. Your body
Okay.
needs all three. Also, big thing is you are going to have, if you just have, say, like a rant later in the afternoons, you're like, oh, I'm craving a quick carb. I'm craving something sugary because, say, you didn't have enough for lunch and you didn't hit all the food groups, right? The first thing you're going to want to grab and your mind's going to want to grab is something either sweet or carb heavy. Carb heavy or something sweet is going to skyrocket your blood sugar, and then it's going to cause a big crash and then lower energy later. And then that's when the cravings hit. That's what I see so common is like, oh, I didn't eat breakfast in the morning. I had my coffee first, then I had my lunch, and it was barely anything. But then I get to the afternoon, and then I have a very quick carby snack. Then my blood sugar crashes, and I have low energy again. So I get home and I binge. That's like the whole pattern I see. So it's
Right.
like you can have a breakfast in the morning hitting all three. If you can have a lunch hitting all three, some sort of bowl, maybe rice or sweet potato, some sort of meat, chicken. If unless you're vegetarian, you can find other ways to add protein in there, and then adding some veggies in there, and then maybe avocado for your healthy fat. Right? Dinner can
Right.
be similar, mixing it around, and then have an afternoon snack that still somehow hits all three because you don't want a blood sugar crash, especially if you already have like rickety blood sugar where it's like you're getting shaky maybe in the afternoon. Like I would definitely have, instead of just a quick carb, I always like to pair it with a protein and healthy fat. And also, if you really get into it and you want to get into it, I'm doing this currently where it's like specific food hygiene where you can eat your veggies first and then you eat your protein on your plate and then you eat the carb because then it lessens the blood sugar spike. So some,
Interesting.
yeah, some
I
people,
have heard this, how it's like it should be opposite when a restaurant brings you bread while you're waiting for your food, how it does the opposite for you, that like you should have the bread after you eat the meal.
literally, it's always like that. And then you go to a Mexican restaurant, it's like the chips
The
first and the
chips.
sauce and
And
the
I eat an
soda.
entire bowl of chips before my burrito gets there.
Yeah,
It's so
exactly.
interesting too how the body has those delayed responses. I feel like there's so many feelings towards diet culture or eating healthy that is sort of playing into like willpower, and like you're not strong enough to stay away from the sweets, you're not strong enough to stay away from the carbs. One, it's so interesting how you said it can be these like delayed responses. If you're not doing the first thing in the morning to help you out yourself and set yourself up for success, then it's going to be 8 hours later that you actually feel the effects of that. And I feel like it's similar with, in general, just you just like have to meal prep. I personally, I feel like that's the only way that I can actually have like a successful week of eating and counting my macros. And so the store is open 6 days a week. We're here 6 days a week. I pretty much have one day per week to like do my laundry, clean the house, do my meal prep, and relax. And I was like torn between either completely reorganizing the kitchen or like prepping my next week's meals. And I was like, I need to just reorganize the kitchen and I just need to figure it out throughout the week. And it's so crazy how every day I was like scrambling to figure out what I was eating for that day versus even today is a Tuesday. Monday was my day off yesterday, and I meal prepped for pretty much the entire week. And already today, I'm like, I had my egg bites, I had my chia pudding, I had my veggies, chicken, rice for lunch, I have my soup waiting for me when I go home. Like, it is truly the only way to set yourself up for success.
Yes, I completely agree. That's the biggest thing I see with clients that if they are having a harder week to hit macros, I'm like, did you pre-plan? They're
Yeah.
like, oh, man, no. Or,
Yeah.
oh, I went to the grocery store, I got things and I ran out on Wednesday. And it's like, okay, let's see the grocery list. Can we double up on certain things so we're not running out on Wednesday and we're not scrambling? Like,
Right.
I literally say planning is setting yourself up for success. If you do not, you're setting yourself up for failure. And yeah, it's the biggest game changer, truly.
And you know what? Even last week when I was like, oh, I don't have anything for dinner at home, let me order something out. And I would order like salmon and veggies from a restaurant and it would just be covered in oil. And so I was like, so I recently just started counting my macros probably about 6 weeks ago. I pretty much ran a marathon like 2.5 years ago. My number one takeaway, and something that I tell every single person that is like about to run any sort of race, and I I say go and speak to a nutritionist. It is like my biggest downfall from running. I finished the race, but I felt horrible. Like my body felt sickly. People ask me, "Oh, you ran a marathon?" Like I actually don't like to think about it because I just like did not feel well, and I know that it's because I was not properly fueling myself, and I never spoke to a nutritionist. After that, I was like so sick of running. I'm like, I can't even like taper down. Like I just need to stop cold turkey. I gained like 15 pounds that I just have not been able to lose over the past 2-ish years. And I'm someone who is like super focused on organic whole foods. I eat from my farm share, but I was like, I really just want to lose these 15 pounds that I've just been carrying around. And so I started doing more research into macros and learning through people like you and people on the internet. It was so interesting doing a grocery shop with like I had never gone to the grocery store being like, I know what I'm going to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the next 7 days. Literally never in my life have I ever done that. I've just been like, let me get these veggies and like this protein.
Mhm.
And then I like put something together. I was amazed by the amount of yogurt and chicken and steak I had in my like cart, my shopping cart. It was honestly, even just doing that one time, it was like an unlock for me to just conceptually like visualize what my grocery cart should look like each week. And it was like, I was like, oh, I understand how much people have been talking about like, we need to eat more protein, more protein. I'm like, I actually like saw it. I saw it in the cart.
Yep.
So I think like it's an amazing exercise to just go through.
Yeah. And even like people do not realize when they do start counting their macros and when they get to the maintenance, when they're at their maintenance, they're like eating a lot more food.
Yes,
And it's so great because they thought that they had to eat less. And it's truly not the case. It's the best thing that you can do for awareness. And I highly recommend to anyone to try it once and just see because it will psychologically rewire the thought of, oh, I can't have this, I can't eat that. Like, no, you can and should probably be eating way more than you actually already are. And that
totally.
will allow your body to feel safe enough to shed, say, excess layer of fat and potentially gain muscle too if you are strength training, which I also highly recommend because you can burn 7 times the amount of more calories the more muscle you have on your body and just increase your metabolism like crazy.
Right.
Um, so those two things go hand in hand in our gold. But I'm so proud of you for trying tracking
Thank
macros.
you. It's been exciting. Microplastics and PFAs have been detected in our water systems, our tap water, our fresh water, even our ocean. I'm always trying to find ways to mitigate plastic in my life, especially in the controlled environment of my home. One actionable way I found to do that is to use filters that are tested to significantly reduce PFAs, microplastics, and other contaminants from my water. And not just my drinking water, but also my shower water. I specifically chose the Weddle Water Shower Duo because it's the first shower filter that is NSF certified for chlorine and independently lab verified to reduce 99% of PFAs and particulates. The other shower filters I looked at really just focused on chlorine and general contaminants, which is amazing, but I did end up choosing the Weddle Water shower filter because it had that added benefit of mitigating PFAs and particulates, including microplastics. I also liked that it was truly just a filter. I didn't have to replace my entire shower head. I personally love my shower head and I didn't want to have to change the entire thing. The install took about 10 minutes. It was super easy and it looks really nice in my shower. Weddle Water's shower filter is also dermatologist approved and has been clinically tested to improve skin hydration and scalp health, which is huge if you deal with dryness, irritation, or dull hair. Because you are a listener of this podcast, you can get 10% off your next purchase from Weddle Water by using code DetoxYourDome. That includes a Weddle Water shower filter and all replacement filters in the future. Use code DetoxYourDome for 10% off any order from Weddle Water. I was really resenting downloading the MyFitnessPal app, which I don't know if there's like a better app out there, but everyone that I was seeing online, like MyFitnessPal, and I just went immediately back to 16-year-old me downloading MyFitnessPal for the first time. I went to a boarding school where we also had a food hall, and it was just like this highly competitive, athletic environment. I don't think that's unique to my high school. I think almost every woman in her life feels that is this need to be smaller and skinnier and like just counting your food since the minute you become like a teenager. And I remember having that app in high school and it just being horrible for my self-worth and my relationship towards food. And I feel like I've taken so many years to unwind from that and focus on being active, doing fitness as something, like you said, as a joyful activity, just moving your body every day, eating whole foods. So I was really resenting downloading it. However, I feel like now that I have more knowledge and tools to actually like plan things out, understand what all these three food groups are, it's been a little bit more empowering, which I know you talk about. So can you tell us about how counting your macros can actually be an empowering experience, and how people who have dealt with eating disorders or body image, how we can see counting macros as more of an empowering practice?
Yeah, exactly. And I will say that's the biggest thing I see in like resistance I see, especially when I first sign a client, is like, oh, the MyFitnessPal app. Oh gosh, here we go.
Yep, here we go.
I promise it's not going to be like it was in high school. And
Yeah,
it can feel like a lot of PTSD, honestly, because it
right.
was promoted for a time in a place of coming from a place of restriction and not having knowledge. Because the problem sometimes with those apps are the first thing you type in is lose weight, not lose fat, gain muscle. It's not,
Mm,
maybe there is a body recomp, right? But still, it's like, okay, if you want to lose, and most people would do this, oh yeah, I want to lose this amount of pounds in this like short amount of time, right?
right,
And then it's like, oh yeah, you should have 1,400 calories or 1,200 calories for X amount of time, and then you'll be 20 pounds lighter. And then you're getting dizzy, and then you're tired, and then you're angry, and then you're binging, and then you're confused, and then you're like, oh, I hate this app. It told me to barely eat anything.
right.
So it's more like the what it generates for you based on what you put in, because your mindset around it is how can I do this so quick, right? And so it can be empowering in the sense of, one, when you see, kind of like I was saying before, when you see that you can actually be eating way more, it really rewires things for people. Just going
Right.
through the process of like, okay, this is what I'm eating now. When you're doing it from a knowledge standpoint, you just enter it. You're not putting in any goal. You're just entering what you're currently eating for knowledge, seeing what your macros are currently at, seeing how you're feeling with those current macros. Okay, now let me try like increasing my protein because this is pretty low, right? Oh, let me try, I have low energy. Let me try increasing my carbs. Okay. Maybe I haven't had my period. I probably need to increase my healthy fats, right? So increasing that and then seeing the body recomp, because your body feels safe to lose the fat and safe
Mm,
to maintain the muscle. And then you're going through this process of where you're like, okay, now I actually see that it's working and I actually feel better. And it's not from a place of like cutting and like restricting. It's
right.
from empowering, adding calories, adding things. And then you're like shook. Like I just see it when clients go through the process. They're like, no way I can have a whole entire plate of sweet potatoes. I'm so confused. Or no way I can have like an entire giant bowl of yogurt. Like no way can I have all of this. I thought I had to be having this little tiny amount,
Right.
what I was taught before. But when you're actually like given the facts that's right for your body, rather than just doing it on your own and thinking you barely have to eat anything, you can truly be so empowered to eventually work your way up to be eating like 2,500 to 2,800. I see ripped people eating 2,800 calories and they're ripped,
Wow. Yep.
tons of, and they're lifted and they feel great.
Yeah.
So like
It's
that's the,
amazing.
yeah.
My one of my best friends works at Yeti, and she sent me this Yeti lunchbox, and it's the cutest thing. It's like bubblegum pink, and it's like very big. And I literally pack it with food every single day, and I'm bringing it to work, and I'm just like I'm eating all day long, and it's amazing. And I feel great. Yep.
I'm so happy. Like that makes me so proud of you because
Thank you.
yeah,
It's
it's
been a
true.
huge shift. Okay, so how do you feel? You said you liked having other measurements than just the one number on the scale. How do you feel about body composition scales? Because, and I'm asking for myself because I ordered this body composition scale probably, I don't know, 2 years ago when I started weightlifting, and I got it for like $25 on Amazon. And I'm like, is this actually real? Like, can this actually tell me how much muscle and like bone mass I have? Like, how is this? Is this just like faking? It's just lying to
No.
me. Like, this doesn't feel real.
I have one and I
Okay.
like it.
Yep.
I have the Renpo one and it does send like a current through your body. So and
Yep.
so maybe it's not as accurate as doing like an actual like body fat measure with like those. They have like other machines that you
Right.
can
I'm like, you can do like a very advanced version of
yeah,
this
very
somewhere else.
slightly
That's
advanced.
not my $25 Amazon
Yes,
scale at home. So I'm like,
right.
that's why I just don't trust it.
Right. It's probably not as accurate as your
Okay.
normal dose, but it's better than just for the mind and mental, better than just having the number, right? Because
Yeah.
you could be at the same number, but you could look at it and it'll be like um, body fat percentage, and then it'll say like body muscle, and then it'll be like, ooh, the muscle went up and the fat went down, but the number maybe stays the same. So like, and when I look at my photos, because I do like take progress photos, and I also have my clients do the same thing, and you can see a lot more in photos.
Mm,
Um, so that's also really helpful. And then also measurements, like actually like literally getting a tape measure and just like measuring, because then
yeah.
like, oh look, my waist was maybe at this number and now it's down to this number, but maybe the scale is saying I'm only like 2 pounds difference. But hey, like I look good, I feel good. What's like, that's how we make the scale a little bit more neutral when we know it's just like a small data point and everything else.
Right. Right. Especially because weight can fluctuate so much, especially as a woman.
Oh yeah, on your period, 5 to 7 pounds, some people.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
people are like, oh, maybe I'm in a deficit, or maybe I'm just eating at maintenance. Oh, I'm so mad. Like, what the heck, this time of the month? And maybe they're not even tracking their period. They're like, I ruined everything. Oh my gosh,
Yep.
everything. Like, the world feels like it's ending, but it's literally just for a period of time.
Right.
And like inflammation from if you're drinking or something, like, there's so many different things that cause water retention on the scale. So you cannot just be like, this is the end all be all.
Can you break down fat loss versus weight loss for us?
Yes, I love saying fat loss. I don't like really saying weight loss, to be honest, because weight loss can include muscle mass. And
Mm-hmm.
the goal is to keep the muscle and like build the muscle while also losing the fat. So,
Right.
what the goal is when you're in maintenance and in weightlifting, to be fueling your body enough to build muscle. And then when your body is fueled enough, you've built muscle, okay, now it's time to go in a deficit. And when you go in a deficit, you're trying to maintain that muscle and not let it go away, which is why the macro breakdown is so important, to still hit that protein, carb, fat, so you can keep the muscle you've built while also losing body fat percentage. So that's why I like to say lose fat, maintain muscle, build muscle, etc., not just like lose weight, because then it's the combo of both. And like I said before, muscle burns 7 times the amount of more calories literally just sitting at your desk
Wow.
than fat does. So it's very important to, that's why I just say fat loss. I
Yeah,
don't like the weight.
definitely. What's a healthy amount of time for a woman to be in a calorie deficit or to be cutting?
Yeah, I'd say about 3 months
Okay.
max. If someone has more, so the goal is you will likely lose zero point 0.5 to 2 pounds per week. It just depends on the person, depends on how much weight they need to lose, and how the body responds to what you're doing. So depending on that, if that's 3 months, that could be anywhere from like the 12 or 8 to 24, whatever pounds, depending on if it's the 12 weeks, right? And then if someone has more weight to lose, then you definitely want to do like a diet break, which would consist of going back up to maintenance for a period of time, a couple weeks, month, whatever it may be, to get the energy back up. And then you can go back into your deficit. But you
Okay.
just make sure you're not in a deficit for too long, because then the body will become metabolically compromised basically. And you'll just be, your new maintenance will not be that high
Okay.
what it should be,
And then you
right?
have to keep cutting and cutting more, and then you just get into like a bad cycle, a bad loop there.
Right. And then yep, you're kind of stuck. So you want to make sure that you're keeping up with that metabolism, keeping it strong.
So you talk a lot about neutralizing food. What does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of times when we grow up, kind of like we were talking about before, we hear this is good, this is bad, this is bad food, this is good food. I want everyone to feel like this isn't bad or good. This is food. I deserve this food. I can have this food. It fuels my body. Okay, yes. If you want that piece of chocolate, maybe it's not the best fuel, but I can still have it, and it's not necessarily bad. It's not going to ruin everything, like, at all. How can I look at that and be okay with the fact that it's sitting there, I can have it, and I don't have to be mad at myself for it and give
Right.
myself for that moment? I also want to make it to where it's not like it feels so scarce to someone. For example, that's where I see a lot of the binging things come from, where it's like, I can never have this. So when I see it, I want all of it. Right. So
Right.
how can we be like, when I say 80/20, of course, after healing, if you do have root healing to do, how can you be like, all right, I'm 80/20. Yeah, I can go have ice cream with my friends later. This isn't bad. Like, I can live
Right.
my life. Your life is meant for living it. It's not meant to just be like scared of like bad things all the time. That's how you get the stress. That's how you get the high cortisol. So how can you be gentle with yourself, but also like hold yourself to a high standard at the same time?
I love
So
that. Do you feel like the relationship to food while you're eating it changes your body's response to the food as well?
yes, 100%. If you are eating food and you're like, I will even tell you this super vulnerable. At my lowest moment when I was having such bad cravings, I was binging so bad. I like was eating peanut butter out of a jar, crying,
Yeah.
bawling my eyes out. I was like, what's wrong with me? I like never gonna have this. I don't let myself have this, and this is my time to have this. So I'm just gonna sit here and cry. And I remember like writing after, I'm like, something's wrong with me, something's wrong with my body, something's wrong with my mind. Like it was so I was in a really bad spot back then. And that was I believe that was my senior year of college where I was just like not just so lost. And I think a
Right.
lot of people, and that needs to be a bigger, broader conversation down the line of like people feeling guilt or shame or like something's wrong for them or wrong with them, like willpower, like we had said before, like, oh, I don't have enough willpower. I got to start again tomorrow. Okay, I'm not having breakfast because I have willpower. And then here we are in the same cycle.
Right. And it could be years later and you're like, I'm still here. And
Yes.
how am I still here? And because I
Yes.
care about this so much and I'm still here. So I feel like we've talked a lot about food. I'd love to now talk a little bit more about fitness and weightlifting,
Yes.
because you also are a personal trainer. Weightlifting has gotten a ton of attention in the past maybe year or so. I think people are starting to catch on at why it's so important to weightlift. What would you say to someone who is overwhelmed to step into a gym and start lifting weights? How should they get going?
So I would literally say, first, I'd like to look at my clients' schedules. I'm like, first of all, have you ever weightlifted in your life? If it's no, I've never weightlifted, I've never done it, we're going to start with like really basic. Can we start with 2 or 3 days a week? If we can do 3 days a week, great. If your schedule allows for that, we'll just start with 3 full body days, starting with some very basic movements, and we'll do hypertrophy phase. So it'll be like 8 to 12 reps, 3 to 4 sets, very basic movements, and then work your way up to some progressions with that. But the thing is, you want to be doing this is the biggest thing I say to people. You want to be doing the same split. So if you're doing 3 full body days, right, you're doing the same thing on Monday, same thing on Wednesday, same thing on Friday for like 6 to 8 weeks. It
Wow.
could be longer too, but this is the problem I see. People go on Instagram, they're like, "Ooh, I'm just going to do this today. Woo, so fun!" But then
Right.
how you're actually progressing the next week. You need to be doing progressive overload, so you need to be increasing those weights when you can, and that's why the two go so hand in hand. Like, how are you fueling your body enough to be able to go up with those weights? Are you having enough carbs? Are you having enough nutrients to actually see muscle definition when we are going to the gym? So again, like when you're starting out, I just start very, very simple. If you are looking on Instagram, by the way, I'm about to do a series of like beginner friendly workouts. So if anyone
Yay.
out,
Can't
beginner friendly
wait.
workouts, 3 days a week, go to the gym, and then it shouldn't even take, you don't need to be in the gym forever either. Like
Right.
literally be 25 to 35 minutes, basic movements. I also call it beginner gains. If you've never lifted it before, you are going to see gains pretty quickly, which is
Yep.
awesome. Um,
A lot of positive feedback.
yes, yes.
I have seen a lot around cycle syncing recently. Is that a legit thing? And should women align their workouts based off of their period?
So I believe in cycle awareness
Okay.
more than cycle syncing because I think you can and should lift all time, all throughout the month, all throughout the year. Lifting is so great for you. I will say, when it comes to awareness, though, you need to be aware of how your body feels during that time and tailor it to that. So, what I mean by that is, say you're in your luteal phase, you're about to start your period, you have lower energy, right? Of course, you're not going to be able to lift as heavy. So don't go to the gym and get angry that you're not lifting as heavy as you were the week before when you were in your ovulation phase and you were lifting really heavy and you were so happy, right? And then
Right.
your menstruation and you're going to be energy and hormone dip again. So again, you're going to the gym, you're still getting in the workouts, but maybe your lift isn't as heavy. Maybe you aren't doing as much weight. You're getting through it, and it doesn't have to be as intense because you're just aware that like, hey, my body's going through this. I need to be a little bit more gentle with it and push to what I can, but not be mad at myself for that. And you're still going to see gains. So that's two. And then same for when you get in your follicular and ovulation. So like right after you have like you shed your lining in your menstruation phase, then like, okay, here we are. We're ready to go. We're feeling great. We're lifting heavier. So more so just being aware because I do think you should always be lifting. It's so good for
Always be
you.
lifting. There's nothing more empowering than going on Instagram and seeing a woman who's like 8.5 months pregnant, like just
Yep.
squatting like hundreds of pounds. I'm like, let's go. People ask me all the time how to make non toxic living easier. And one of my biggest tips is this: find a brand that you trust and love so much that you'd feel good using anything they make. For me, one of those brands is Primely Pure. I love that I don't have to overthink every single swap with them. I can just choose what fits my routine and know that the formulas are intentionally crafted with ingredients like regeneratively farmed tallow, organic botanicals, and antioxidant rich plant oils. And if you've been here for a while, you already know that I'm a Blue Tansy girl through and through. Their Blue Tansy line is my happy place. Their deodorant, the soothing face mask, and now their new body butter all feel like a calming ritual, not just another product. If you've been wanting an easy entry point into non-toxic body care, starting with a brand you truly trust, like Primely Pure, takes so much of the stress out of it. I love working with Primely Pure because I really just believe in the quality and performance of their products and trust them not only for myself, but as a recommendation for the Detox Your Dome community. You can get 10% off any purchase from Primely Pure with my code DetoxYourDome. That is 10% off with Detox Your Dome, spelled DetoxYourdome.
Yes.
How should women balance weightlifting with cardio? I feel like people got super into the weightlifting now. It's like, how should we be balancing everything?
Yeah. So it's definitely going to depend on the person and their goals, right? So, for example, if someone's training for a race, of course, we are going to be doing more so cardio, a lot more cardio heavy workouts, and then we're going to be doing maybe lifting 2 to 3 times a week to help with our not getting hurt or injured, whatever, and maintaining that muscle throughout. But if someone's like looking to gain muscle, we're not going to be wanting to run like marathons quite often. If you're like really trying to get the gains, it is going to be a little bit harder at the same time. It's kind of like you have to like pick at that point in time what your goal is and tailor it to that. If you are trying to lose fat but also have maintain that muscle, you are going to be lifting, your 3 to 4 days a week, and then you're going to be doing some cardio, but working your way up. So sometimes I'll just start people off, all right, this is your deficit. We're starting this, and then we're just going to start with like 30 minutes of cardio or 20 minutes of cardio. And then we'll work our way up with the cardio a little bit, maybe getting to like hour and a half in a whole entire week. And then we'll see how the body responds losing the fat before we bring down like, I don't want to bring down macros too much. So sometimes we'll balance it with how much time does the person have to do cardio? How willing are they to do cardio? Because again, it is good for your heart and it does help with fat loss, especially like zone 2, zone 3. So
What's so interesting about this conversation and what I've just been picking up is just like, there is no way to just hack your body. Everything is truly about balance, is about like micro adjustments to working with your body. Kind of what I'm gathering, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that anytime you're like putting your body in an extreme place that it hasn't been previous, you're like making things worse.
yep, exactly. It is, that's why people get in the all or nothing. They're like, all right, haven't worked out. Let's go 5 days this week. All
Yeah.
right, haven't done a macros. Boom, go in the deficit.
Yep.
I'm so exhausted. I can't do this anymore. Let me just start over again in like a month or so. And then you're just literally burnt out, exhausted, want to give up and don't know what to do.
Right.
How can you habit stack? How can you do three non-negotiables a day that just like add a little bit to help improve your health in some way in a non-stressful, overwhelming way? Because being stressed and overwhelmed about your health just makes it worse. Like that doesn't
Right.
anything at all.
So, how does stress clinically inhibit positive outcomes with fat loss, muscle growth, hitting your goals for health, wellness, fitness, nutrition?
So, stress. This is the biggest thing that I see with people trying to lose weight because a lot of the times they become weight loss resistance because of their high stress, high
Mm.
cortisol. When I was in corporate sales, I was in staffing sales, and I was very stressed a lot of the time. I also was training for a marathon. I didn't get enough sleep at night. I was anxious a lot. And I ended up having really high cortisol, I think, for a really long time without knowing it, probably a few years, just like chronic stress. I had no idea. I knew I was stressed. I just never got a hormone test done. And I so wish I did. Because now I'm dealing with actually super low cortisol because my body just stopped making it. And what happens is when your cortisol is either too low, too high, you don't have the energy to do things, and then your body starts making up for it in other ways and it can hold on to fat. I also now am estrogen dominant because my cortisol was too high. It started stealing from progesterone. So now the ratio of estrogen to progesterone is incorrect. So now I have estrogen dominance, which is what's causing my acne. And basically, all my hormones are a little out of whack right now, but I have been working with my functional nurse to rebalance them. It's getting a little bit better, but it's something that's going to take time. So that's why I always say to people, like, you really need to figure out ways to de stress, take care of yourself, do wind down things. Resting is so productive because if not, it'll put you all out of whack. And I've been out of whack for years and didn't even realize until now. And
Wow.
I'm dealing with the outcome of that.
Yes. So how do you then start balancing your hormones? Is it just like implementing lifestyle habits and over time things balance out, or are there like specific things that you're doing right now that aren't long-term habits?
Both
Yeah.
answers. Yes.
Yeah.
So I thankfully already had like good lifestyle protocols in place, which is like eating 3 to 4 times, even 5 times a day. So eating throughout the day, I was already doing, getting sunshine outside, which is why I'm in Florida now, like getting the sun in my eyes, going on walks throughout the day, taking breaks, things that I didn't used to do that I am doing now. So I already had those like good little things in place and have been working on them. And then also adding in supplements, which I got prescribed from my functional nurse to add to my meals when I eat throughout the day. So that will be likely short term. Won't have to be on that forever, just until my hormones get to where they need to be. And then just like retesting to make sure and see when I have more energy. There are things that I am doing for the short term. Like a lot of people say, okay, sometimes you do have to be a little hunkered down and restrict to heal, which I fully believe in. Like that's how I healed my heartburn and I like stand by it. A lot of people are like, oh, balance. But yeah, you also have to like do the thing to get to the balance first because
Right.
you're stuck in a cycle the whole time. So I am not supposed to have gluten or dairy and like limit sugar and caffeine. So I really try that. Sometimes I'm so exhausted because I do again have low cortisol. I will have like coffee, but at least I'm not having 2 or 3 cups like I used to. Um,
Right.
so yeah, this is like short-term things that I do have to do to help out my hormone imbalance, but eventually I'll be able to work those things back in if I want to. I might just feel so great, but like
Right.
sometimes on those things. So yeah, there's it again kind of just depends on the person and what they're dealing with because there could be things they've never implemented before or are already doing. You just need to add to them and just continue doing it and like pushing on because it does take time. Like my cortisol will probably take like 6+ months, like minimum.
Wow. Wow. And then how are you testing success?
Yeah, yeah. So I'll basically get retested,
Okay.
and at the end of this month, I believe I'm going to do a GI map. So I'm going to
Okay.
see everything with my gut health going on because that's definitely also playing a role. 80% of the things stem from the gut. So I'm going to be looking at that, and then I'll probably also do another hormone test, which is what I did originally, just to see if things are increasing and just like getting better across the board. So I'm still just doing my protocol like as is, and then I'll retest to just see how it's been going, and then what we need to adjust based on that.
So tell us a little bit more about Real and Well. What I love so much about what you do and what I've been loving throughout this conversation is that you really bridge this gap between both the nutrition and the fitness, and then you also work with this functional nurse, and it just gives your clients this very holistic roadmap on what's going on.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Real and Well, how you work with clients, and how you work with your functional nurse.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I'm so excited. So, there's a lot of pieces here that I can put together, but I will say the biggest difference between me and, say, another fitness health coach is not only do we have all of these things where it's like functional testing, macros, different workouts, periodized nutrition, habit stacking, all of that. It's very much so. This is not like oh, in 1 month I'm going to lose my 10 pounds, I'm going to lose my 20 pounds. It's like, how can we mentally rewire your brain to love food, to love fueling your body, to love movement before we go into the deficit fat loss phase? Because if you're just in it for aesthetics, if you're just in it for, oh, I'm going to lose this weight again, most people will come out of coaching programs and gain the weight back because they didn't do the mental work. So, how can we actually work together to heal that part of you from childhood or wherever it may be to make you realize, hey, like, I need this food. I can do this movement for joy. So I will say that's like the biggest thing that I hone in with my clients. It's not just, yeah, girl, like let's lose those 20 pounds. Like, no, like, is that really what's the reason you want to do that? Like, can we get to the core of that and can we heal parts of you that you never thought maybe were wrong or you thought were wrong but never knew there was a solution to? And that's my biggest thing that I want to always do with my clients. So as for the actual protocol piece, what happens when a client comes on is they will fill out forms for me about their previous health histories. We also get on a informational call, and then after that, they'll do like 2 weeks baseline. And that's what I was saying before. Well, they'll show me everything that they've been eating. They'll log in MyFitnessPal or Chronometer is another app. It'll be through my EverFit app, which is the app that I integrate everything through. So that's where everyone sees their nutrition, where everyone sees their workouts, where we chat, and then where I give my like feedback or my weekly check-ins. And so through that, for the first 2 weeks, they'll do baseline workouts for me, very basic workouts, and then also be tracking their food. And then after the 2 weeks, I'll get their game plan in place based on what they put in for their health history. Again, like I was saying, for maintenance, have they been under eating, overeating, eating at maintenance, but just not the right macros. We'll get on another call and we'll go over literally everything, but also in tandem to that, they'll, depending on their symptoms that they've had, if that's not something that I see fixing with lifestyle right away, like if I notice there's a deeper root issue, we will go straight to filling out the BSQ, which is a body systems questionnaire made by the functional nurse. So they'll fill that out. The results will come to me, but then I will work with the functional nurse in tandem. She will be like, okay, this is what's going on. This is what highlighted red, and this is the type of test we need to get them. So whether it be Dutch, GI map, hormone test, that sort of thing, we'll ship it to their house. We'll take the test. While they're waiting for the results back, we are at the same time working at the nutrition piece, the lifestyle piece. So rather than just going, say, to your functional doctor, you get everything in one because typically you're just waiting for your results back for like 2 months. Like, what can you already
Wow.
on to feel better, right?
Right.
And so yeah, then they'll get the results back, and then we'll do a full-on protocol, whether it be adding supplements, whether it be lifestyle that we've already been working on, which is great. So how can we add that to that layer? And then throughout the whole program, I start with like 6 months for everyone. They can re-sign with me after. It just depends on how things are going. Within that 6 month program, we'll do weekly check-ins. That will be anything that came up during the week, how adherent they were, how I can help them with habit stacking. And then I also do like monthly one-on-one live calls with people. So they're getting a lot in
They're getting a
the,
lot. Yes.
yeah.
I feel like it's the only way to do this in with long lasting positive change. And like you said, I feel like it's very easy to pick and choose certain areas of health, wellness, whether it's fat loss or hormone balancing, and just focus on like tunnel vision, one core thing. But at the end of the day, that's never going to set you up for success. Like you need to hit all of the categories. So I love that you're really approaching this from a whole systems perspective and giving people the opportunity to have professional guidance on all these different aspects of their overall health and wellness.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can you walk us through like 1 to 2 clients and what you're doing with them specifically, whether it's fitness goals or hormone balancing? Yeah, just
Yeah.
walk us through what you're doing with some clients.
Yes. Okay. I'll give you the first one. I definitely want to go over the one that I helped get her cycle back with. That one was just like huge win. So proud of her for. So first of all, she came to me and she had told me that she had lost her period. She had lost it for a few months. And to me, that's already red flag about like likely under eating, wanted to see her habits that she was having. She tracked food for me and lo and behold, she just wasn't eating enough food. So what I did was I slowly increased her 50 to 100 calories per week and making sure she was feeling good with digestion to get to her correct macros of her maintenance. When we got to her maintenance, we left her there steady state while she was also lifting simultaneously so we could increase muscle mass. At the same time, I also noticed that she had anterior pelvic tilt, which basically means if you've ever seen someone stand their back kind of curved, like it
Oh,
kind of arched when they're walking, a lot of
yep.
people have that and don't realize. And so
I
what
think
that
I
means,
have that.
yeah, it's common.
I'm like, I've never heard the term for it, but I definitely think I have that.
Yeah. So what we worked on was making her core and her hamstrings stronger. So
Okay.
basically heals her anterior pelvic tilt.
Oh,
So
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to do this.
Yeah.
I need to work with you.
Yes. No, please. So we fixed that simultaneously, and it was so cool because the pictures showed it. We were literally,
Wow.
yeah, we were like, okay, like I looked at the first week and then I looked at where we were at that point and I was like, look at this. Like, and she was like, I had no idea. I had had this for years and didn't know what it was.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was great. And then after that, she ended up getting her cycle back. It was like 4 months in. It takes time when it's gone. Typically expect like the same amount of time or double the time that it's been gone to come back.
Okay.
Um, with you feeling consistency. And she was very consistent. She was a great client. She was on it. And so she was able to get her cycle back and is doing great now. So we're riding out the maintenance because she doesn't need, she's already very petite. Her goal wasn't to like lose fat or anything. It was to build muscle, get her period back. So that was a huge success. I was
That's
like,
amazing.
so
Yay.
that was fun. And then I'll go through. Okay, so one of my clients, she came to me. She wanted to basically lose. She wanted to lose fat, gain muscle. At the time, she thought, just lose weight. But I'm like, all right, let's rewire this. Um,
Yes.
and so we kept her in maintenance for a bit. She was actually already eating around maintenance, but we just adjusted her macros. And even just the adjust in the macros caused her to lose fat already, like
Wow.
retention, whatever it may be,
Yep.
because of the correction in her macros. So she was already feeling better with that. And then I kept her in maintenance for a bit because I wanted to get her to build some muscle first, get comfortable around food. I like to keep people in maintenance, honestly, like 3 to 4 months, depending on like where they're at with food before. If they have more weight to lose, more fat to lose, I mean, then we will maybe do it sooner.
Yep.
But if someone comes to me and they're like, I'm not ready, I've been binging, I've been barely eating, whatever it may be, I just think it's just like I need them to have a better relationship with food and movement before I ever want to like restrict something from someone. And I go over all of this in their first day game plan. I'm like, this is what we're doing. So they know
Yep.
they're your paced. Like if I follow this, this is what I will get. And so, yeah, and so we kept her like 4 to 5 months in maintenance, building muscle, feeling good around food. And then she was like, okay, I'm ready. I was like, I think you're ready too. You've been following protocol, you've been doing well. And she had already lost some retention from that. And now she's literally down 20 pounds. And I'm like,
Wow.
20 pounds, lost fat. She's very toned too because of like the lifting that we were doing before. But yeah, so I'm super proud of her. And honestly, her mindset has shifted a lot of like, she used to, which is very common. Like the thing that I deal with is a lot of women are having lots of cravings or like,
Mm,
because honestly, that's something I dealt with when you're underfueled. Like, of course, if you're not eating breakfast or not eating enough throughout the day, like you're going to get tons of cravings. So
right.
hear that clients are like, oh, I'm not having these as much because A, we're actually fueling your body and you actually understand like I can have more quality foods throughout the day, and feel good later. So those are two of my
I
clients share.
love amazing. You must be so proud of them.
I honestly, it just makes me so happy that I decided to take the leap to do this because I knew I was like, I want to be the person that I never had back then.
Yes.
I just
Yep.
figured it out myself. I'm like, how can I help as many people as possible? Just like be that person for them. And seeing wins like that, or just even mindset shifts. It doesn't have to be photos. It doesn't have to be scale. Literally, the thing that I want is for their mindset shift to be like, I'm proud of myself for eating today. I'm proud of myself for feeling comfortable around food. I'm proud of myself for feeling great during movement. I'm proud of myself for going on a walk. Like little things. I'm like, okay, I'm
Yes.
doing something right and they're doing right. This is good.
It's amazing. I just have one last question for you. This has been
Yeah.
such a wonderful, insightful conversation. I've learned so much, and I feel already more empowered about my relationship with food and fitness and seeing it as a holistic approach to just find nourishment and health versus trying to hack my body, trying to find the quick fix, and really understanding how all of these work in tandem. So you have given me so much hope for and tools for my future in terms of fitness, nutrition. And I just want to ask you, what gives you hope about the future of women's health and wellness?
Yay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. And I'm so glad that you feel empowered. That makes me really happy. But yes, honestly, my hope is, and it's giving me hope that wellness and taking care of ourselves are in right now. Even like sober curious is in a little bit, but I definitely think it's very promising that people are becoming more aware of how important it is to take care of yourself. And I think people are also getting to the point where they feel more comfortable talking about their bodies. Like that's why I, even on my social media, try to be like, yeah, I'm going to talk about macros and this isn't a bad thing.
Right.
Or yeah, I'm going to talk about how I feel in a workout class, and in hopes that other people will feel empowered to A, relate, B, say something to me, or talk about it with other people. I know there's some not so great things about social media, but I will say I do think it's empowering more people to take charge of their health. And there's also health coaching is in. Like
Yes.
Ryan is popping off. The course that I did is so great, and I think there's so much more of that now. Like even therapists are turning to coaches, so that's also great. But yeah,
Yay. I love it so much. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, for sharing so much knowledge and wisdom with all of us. Everyone should go and follow KP on social media. Reach out to her if you have any other questions or want to work with her. She is a wonderful person and clearly just full of all the knowledge and tools that you need for your health and wellness journey. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you.